Hello, fellow alchemists. Welcome back to our series on Phoenix LiveView. Now this time I'm going to take also a little bit of a change to what we've been doing. I don't know about you guys, but for me, being in Asia, sometimes I have to support different languages. Of course, English is always the default, but also Chinese is quite a big language where I am. And so one of the things I ran into, which there's not much support for, or there's not much people talking about, is how to actually support different locales from within LiveView. Now, I actually managed to figure this out, and I talked a little bit about this before when we first set up our project. And now I'm going to actually walk you through how I actually add multiple languages to a Phoenix application, and also with LiveView. So it's a little bit complicated and it's quite long, but it's well worth it. So let's go ahead, let's get started. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to actually add in the couple of places to kind of show you how it all works for the languages. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the app and I'm going to remove this image. It's not really needed. And also the guide. And I'm going to replace this with a link and use get text for the translation and say that it's for users. So we're going to have a link to our live path, and we're going to link us to the index page. So that is hello liveview web.index, user index. And this should be enough for that to work. Okay, now the last thing that we need to do is we need a way to actually switch languages. So I'm just going to add 2 more links from within here. And a very simple way is going to add the locale for English. And we're just going to copy this and replace this ZH for Chinese. So I'm going to use my Chinese over here. Okay. And let's see, that should be enough for us. And now the other thing I need to do is I need to go, I'm not going to do this for every page, but just to kind of show you guys what's happening. And over here, I'm going to use get text for this. So we have that part translated. And now, one more thing I need to do is I need to actually have the ability to change the locale using get text. And I also need to generate the translation file, so give me a second. Let's do the translation files first. So I'm going to have to run mix get text, should be extract. Okay, mix get text dot merge. Priv text merge. So this will write the English one for us. And then I also need to generate the Chinese one. So I pass in the locale of ZH, and then I generate the Chinese for us. Perfect. And now I need to actually handle the language switching, which is quite easy. But before I do that, let me just add in some translations. So we have our delete, and in Chinese, I'm going to change this to be Shanchu, which is delete. Users, I'm just going to use the word account. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe not, but just kind of to show you guys how this all works. And Now I'm going to write a plug to actually handle this. So let's go to our test. I'm going to go within the web folder, create a new folder called plugs. It's going to put all my plugs, and so for this one I'm going to make a locale test exs. Okay. Now within here, I need to use diff module hello LiveView web locale test. Use hello LiveView web con case. Make this to be async so we can run it faster. And I'm going to test that the default locale will be using English. And then we need to run this through our pipeline, our browser pipeline, which I'm going to add this plug to. Hello LiveView web router browser, and just get the path at that one. Now I want to make sure that in my session I'm going to have a locale set to be English, and also I'm going to set this on the assigns. Locale to be English. Okay. Make sure that happens. And I want to also, let's go ahead and let's test that we will accept locale if input from URL params. And I can basically pull this, because I'm putting into the parameters, I'm going to set the locale to be ZH, make sure that we can change it. And we can just copy this, paste this over here, ZH, CH. And just so we don't get any potential locales that we can't handle, I'm going to also test for that. So let me just grab this. And then make a new test. Test will not accept unknown locale. Con. Let's paste this. Just say it's unknown. And let's just make sure it's set to English, so that way we don't have any issues. Looks okay. So let's go ahead and let's test this. So it's our test folder, our web folder. This plugs and a locale. Okay, perfect. We got failures. That's always good. And now we're going to create our plugs folder. And then we're going to create our locale ex. So this is our define module, hello LiveView web locale. Alright. Now within here, we need to be able to handle all of these situations. So I'm just getting up my sample code, okay? And so I want to implement the behavior of plug because I'm making a plug. And we are implementing the behavior of our init, which is ops. and we just return ops. And now we need to implement the behavior of call. So the first one's going to be the con, the second one will be the ops. And so in this case, if we have, we're going to have a params, and if it is set with a locale from our con, and when that locale is in ZH or EN, then we're going to set our locale. Let me just change this so I don't have that happen again. We're going to set our locale, and we're going to do it several times. So I'm going to generate a function called setup locale. Sorry, a con and our locale. We're going to put our locale, and then we're going to put a session, which is the locale, and also put, assign the locale to our con. Setup locale, con, locale. Good. Now if we don't get that, now the next thing we need to do is we need to define this. We get our con, we don't need ops. We can try to get from a session, con, locale. If nothing is in our session, then we will set up the locale to use English. Otherwise, if we get a locale, then we will set up our locale to use that locale. It's a lot of work, but seems to be okay. Test that. Let's see, good session. You need to actually import those functions. That's pretty easy. So we're going to import from plug.con only those functions. So we have put session, which is arity of 3, get session, which is an arity of 2, and assign, which is an arity of 3. Mistake on that. Perfect. Almost. We have all 3 functions are still on. That's because we didn't actually add this plug. So always the small things. So let's see. Go to our router. Let's add our plug. Now we should be good to go. There we go. So now we can definitely handle all this, so that's good. And let's try to run our server. Okay, localhost. Here we go. If we change to Chinese, you can see our Chinese is over here. Change to English. We go to our user section. So remember we translated this delete button, right? So if I go to Chinese, the Chinese translation is not showing up. Now this is something that's quite tricky, right? And that's because when we actually attach, it's actually using a different process. So the get text locale is not set properly. I'm pretty sure if we check over here, it's definitely set properly. But because when we reattach, we're actually re-rendering that whole page. So that's how we actually end up losing the translation. Okay. Now there's a kind of somewhat easy way to fix this. It's a little bit complicated, but it's the easiest way that I can find to do it. And we're going to walk through that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a controller, user controller. Module, hello LiveView web, user controller. We use our hello LiveView web controller, and we're going to define an index function. I don't care about the params. And we are going to live render our user hello LiveView web user index. Now in here we need to pass in the session, and we need to have our locale. Okay, and we can get that. Sorry, we don't put an en. We'll put in the locale. If you remember, we're actually setting the locale every single time on the assigns. So we can just go to the assigns, get our locale, and we are ready to go. But still need to actually handle that. So how we handle that is we go over to here. In our mounting, we need to actually handle the locale. Now we only need to do this when we are connected. So within here we do our get text, put locale, and that should handle that. But now we still need to handle our router, right? Because our router is still pointing to our live view. So changes to a get, changes to user controller, tell it to use the index view. Now that should work, but we probably broke some tests. So let's take a look. Okay, we have 10 failures. That's because we don't have this live path anymore with the user index. So now we need to go over here and change all this. So most of these are within our test. So let's go to our live view tests. Okay, so now this should be changed to use the user path. And we put in the index. Let's just copy paste all this. Okay, so 10 failures, test again. So the 10 failures. Live path, user index. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see. This one, the app template is definitely wrong. So let's go over here to our templates. And this one should be changed to user path. And this is just index. So now let's take a look. Okay, just 3 failures left. Let's see, this is in user index test. Let's see, live path, user index. Okay. User path, index. things need to also change within here. Okay, user new. This one needs to be user path, index, and also our user show needs to also change user path, index. Let's take a look. Okay, there we go. So now everything should be working fine now. So let's go and run our server. Something broke. No, let's not worry about that. Let's refresh that. That's odd. Verified mount. Let's take a look. There we go. There's our Chinese. And there we go, English. Everything's working fine. So, I thank you guys for hanging in. It was a little bit longer video than I wanted to, but I wanted to make sure I covered every single piece of this. So this is how you can handle multiple languages within your Phoenix application and with LiveView. So this is Alan from Plangora. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.